Please, let me scan your eyes, Dan.
No.
I'll give you $60.
I got $60 to scan my eyes at Worldcoin. So I live in Taiwan, and in Taipei, they have 3 locations for you to scan your eyes. These are 3 physical locations that they've rented out that is dedicated space with people working there to onboard you into the Worldcoin ecosystem. And you do have to have an appointment mostly, but 3 of us showed up without an appointment and it worked out pretty good. We were in and out in just 10 minutes. So the process works like this. You show up, you don't have an appointment, that's fine. If they have support, they'll onboard you, and the process begins by you downloading and registering in the Worldcoin app. Then you have to make sure you're on their Wi-Fi. Now, in Taiwan, we have super fast cellular internet, so it didn't make sense to use their Wi-Fi. That was a concern because we were thinking like, oh, are they stealing our data by making us get on their Wi-Fi? Or was this just another security measure to make sure you go through the process of being physically at their location to register with them? So we get on the Wi-Fi. To hell with privacy. We then had to watch a 2-minute video about Worldcoin. That was available in either Chinese or English. We watched it in Chinese. I don't understand Chinese, but I understand cryptocurrency, so that was enough. And after that, we began the scanning process. It was orb time. Now we get to the orb, and then we have to scan a QR code and then scan our face. And as we're doing that, and I'm trying to figure things out, I drop everyone's phone. I dropped the worker's phone, I dropped my phone. Very clumsy. Eric Ma caught that on camera.
Dan.
And I was very concerned that I cracked the screen of the worker there. Luckily, their phone was okay, so we're in the clear there. I made sure we were all good with that, and I used the worker's referral code later because they got a little bonus for that. So yes, you do get a bonus. There is a 10 referral limit, and this gets you an extra $10 for onboarding other people into Worldcoin, which isn't too bad. So then the scan began, and I wasn't super close, there wasn't really a bright light, and it didn't really feel like they were scanning my eye, but it felt like they were scanning my entire face, because that kind of made more sense if they have some kind of facial recognition data. Maybe they're using that for something else. Who knows? But $60, sold out my face for $60. And after the orb being scanned, you just have to wait a couple minutes while your data is uploaded to the cloud, and then you get your world coins. Now, initially, it looks like you get 60 world coins, or about $60 with the referral bonus, over the course of 12 months, like a linear unlock. But I found that the next day, I got 30 world coins available immediately, so you might get the majority of your tokens unlocked the next day, and the rest of it over the course of 12 months. Now, $60, not a significant amount, but it does give you access to use the applications within the Worldcoin ecosystem, which I found to be pretty good. We're going over in this video Worldcoin. We're going over the experience of being onboarded into their ecosystem, what they're building, what you can do there, and my opinion on all that, just because I want to share my thoughts as a crypto user, as someone who looks at a ton of projects. Does Worldcoin stand a chance at actually onboarding real-world users, and do they have enough money to do that? So if that sounds good, I'm Dan, and let's dive in. What is Worldcoin? The real human network. Now, Worldcoin is a layer 2 blockchain. It is built on the OP stack, that is optimism. That's just more technical details. Basically, it is like Ethereum, but another chain on top of it that has faster and cheaper transactions. Now, Worldcoin focuses on identity, finance, and community for every human, and their main feature really that differentiates them is their World ID, an anonymous proof of human for the age of AI. So this helps prevent bots. Now, if we're in crypto, there's a lot of airdrops, there's a lot of bots farming things, and having a World ID, a proof that you are a human person, could be pretty valuable. I do see that this is one of the angles that they have that other projects don't have, where maybe you want to reward real people and not bots. So that is one of the advantages. And other than that, it is pretty much a crypto project that you would normally find anywhere else. But they raised a lot of money. They are working on one of the best experiences out there, and they've onboarded the most users that are not crypto native. These are just people that want an airdrop, they want an incentive, and maybe they're curious about getting into crypto. So you have your World ID, then you have the World app, which is a mobile app where you get access to most of the applications that are building on Worldcoin. And if you go into the DeFi world of Worldcoin or World Chain, there's about $44 million locked in TVL, and most of the action is happening on Morpho, Re7 Labs, and Uniswap. But that's it. Now, they don't necessarily track what's happening in the mini apps, and most of the mini apps on Worldcoin are only available through the World app. You can't actually access it through a website. So they do have a very closed experience, which is good. But if you're a pro DeFi user like myself, it's there's a lot of friction. There's a lot of friction to get in. But once you're in that ecosystem, it is pretty easy to move around, and using applications is a very smooth and organic experience. Whereas in the DeFi world, there are a lot of mistakes you can potentially make. So they are building one of the best user experiences out there. And that covers WorldChain, a blockchain designed for real users. Then we have WorldCoin. This is the token behind everything that makes this all possible. It is a digital token that distributes ownership of the network to every human. So this is WorldCoin. It is at a $1.7 billion market cap, fully diluted at 11 billion. About 15% of the supply is circulating, and they're using that supply of tokens to onboard new users, to build out their ecosystem, to make sure that there are things for people to do once they're in the WorldCoin ecosystem. And looking at some of their stats, they've onboarded 12.8 million humans. And as for app users, there are 27.5 million. Now, this is incredibly impressive considering that normal people don't use crypto apps. And now there is a physical location where people can actually get onboarded into it. Now, you're probably curious about World ID and your face scanning, so let's get into those details. An anonymous proof of human that securely and privately proves that you are a unique human. You are not a bot. It supports multiple types of human exclusive verifications via proof of human credentials, allowing users to prove they are human and unique. Okay, they really went hard on saying, hey, you're definitely a human and you're going through this process. Let me know in the comments if you think a human actually wrote this. Now, a custom device called the Orb is used to verify you are a unique human. And this is the Orb, as featured on Time magazine, that is used to scan your eyes and your face and get you into the WorldCoin ecosystem. And if we look closely, a lot of these comments look like they're bots. So imagine if we had a social media platform without bots and everyone is a verified human, or at least they were until they sold their account to someone who wants to bot on those accounts. Simply put, World ID grants individuals an anonymous way to prove they are human online in a world where intelligence is no longer a discriminator between people and AI. So that's essentially what makes WorldCoin different. Human verification. You actually have to be a person to register your account to prove that you are human, and then you have ownership of your account to do things within their DeFi world. Now let's take a look at the DeFi world. We're going to look at the apps within the WorldCoin app. So there are apps within the apps that you can use. Now, these are decentralized applications. You can use it as long as you have a wallet. Now, one of the most interesting ones at the moment is Uno, because you can earn high interest on your account there. But I think that interest rate is going to drop over time as those rewards are shared within a larger pool of people participating in there. And we have some other things here like Drop Wallet, one place for drops and swaps. So it looks like a platform that gets you airdrops. Morpho is a DeFi platform, pretty popular, pooled together. You know, I'm not endorsing any of these. I'm just saying that these are available through the app and they're featured. And I think it's just because we're so early within their platform that there isn't a lot of competition yet, that there isn't enough demand to drive the best apps to the top. So you're going to see a lot of apps that look like they're in their very early stages. They even have this Wordle World app where you can play Wordle for cryptocurrency. 10 people play, everyone puts up one World token, and the person with the best score takes it all. And you can see I lost one world token very quickly. Someone got that in 2 guesses, which is pretty crazy. Now for myself, it took 4 guesses, and I thought that was pretty good, but not good enough. Now I'm still pretty new to all the different mini apps and still getting familiar with it. There isn't really an easy way to gauge what's most popular, what's most trusted, what will make you the most. So I'm still learning, and if you want to learn more together, feel free to join the live streams or ask questions in the Discord. June 23, 2025, Worldcoin was covered by Time magazine. Are you human? Sam Altman wants to find out. So it is notable that Worldcoin has a very big presence in the non-crypto community and just in the regular world because they're being covered by regular news articles, publications, entertainment, and that is the vibe that they're giving off here. You can't really tell that it is a crypto project. They are selling an experience, vibes, community. I think that's the best way I could put it. So we do get some hints at what they're doing. Bots don't get blue bubbles. Hey Matt, it's Sarah from Tinder. My name's not Matt, it's Josh. Thinking, hey Josh, it's Sarah from Tinder. So they want proof of humanity. They want to make sure that the people you're speaking to online are not bots because it could be AI. And they know that because Sam Altman is the CEO of OpenAI, and they have created the product ChatGPT, which you may know and already use. Sam Altman is also the founder of Worldcoin, a project that wants to make sure you have proof of humanity through a process of scanning your eye, which in my experience was mostly facial data, and they're probably not using it. I think it's just a gimmick. I think it's just a way for them to say, hey, we're doing something different. We want you to believe this is what we're doing. But in reality, we're just onboarding you into crypto and making it seem very high tech. That is just my opinion. Let's just say allegedly, that's just what I think they're doing, and that's all right. So they are selling vibes, they are selling an experience, but is that enough to survive in the crypto world? Have they built anything that people want to use? And what can you do on there? So let's look at some recent news. TechCrunch, World ID partners with Tinder, Visa to bring its ID verifying tech to more places. So Tinder is now working with Worldcoin to have proof of humanity, because when we saw this video earlier on the Worldcoin Instagram page, hey Matt, it's Sarah from Tinder. Well, we need a way to verify these are real people, not bots, not people wasting your time, not bots trying to scam you or scammers trying to scam you. We need to know who we're talking to and if they're a real person and who they say they are. So that is what Worldcoin is building through World Chats. So they are building out their own ecosystem, from payments to chat to social media and more. So I think we're still early, and it seems like they got a pretty good shot at making that happen. Money. We got to talk about how much money did Worldcoin raise, because they need a lot of money to build out everything they want to do. They need to grow their ecosystem, they need to onboard users, they need to onboard developers, and that costs a lot of money. So how much did Worldcoin raise? Now, in 2021, they raised $25 million, which doesn't seem like a lot, but the next year, $100 million. The year after that, $115 million. And very recently, in May 2025, $135 million, giving a grand total of $375 million, one of the largest raises out there. And if we look at the current market cap and price, this is June 7 when I'm recording this, they're at a market cap of $1.7 billion, fully diluted value of $11 billion. And when we're looking at market cap versus fully diluted valuation, that's just because all the tokens have not yet been released, because those are for additional incentives to onboard users. And if we look at the full chart, they launched in July of 2023. And they've been having their moments, and I think they're having another moment now as they're actually having these physical locations set up around the world for people to get their eyes scanned. And they've done a lot growing out their ecosystem. So for a quick comparison, we want to see how much other similar projects have raised at this level. So if we look at Zero G Labs, they are a blockchain infrastructure project and they raised a total of $357 million. And it's still unclear what they do because they likely focused on scaling decentralized infrastructure and data availability solutions. Monad, they are an EVM compatible layer 1 designed for high performance transactions. That is still in testnet, and we still haven't really seen what they can potentially do. I actually have some testnet tokens, and we'll look into that in a future video. Barachain, they launched earlier this year. They raised a lot of money, 142 million, but we haven't seen the same type of adoption. Again, you have to grow out the ecosystem by incentivizing builders to build good products instead of products that are available everywhere else already. And Story Protocol raising $140 million. They aim to be the intellectual property chain, but that's still very hard to enforce and still very difficult to determine how much demand there is for that at the moment. And then some smaller but still significant raises: Infinix at 65 million, Eclipse at 65 million, Humanity Protocol at 50 million, and the list goes on. All right, Worldcoin raised $375 million. What are they doing with that? What are they doing to prove that they are growing out their ecosystem and that people are building there? Well, of course, if you scan your eye, you do get incentives where you get about $60 at the moment of Worldcoin tokens at the current prices, but there's a 12-month linear unlock on that, so that comes out to, if prices stay the same, but prices can still go up or potentially down. Potentially down, we'll have to see what happens there. But there are many apps that people are building in the Worldcoin application. I think you need to verify to get access to everything. I did that, and the user experience is pretty good. You don't have to sign any transactions. You don't need gas. You just need to approve what you want. So it's just like, hey, I'm going to do this, approve. It's not sign, approve, confirm. It's just one-click transactions, and they take out a lot of the complexities to it. Now, I don't see myself using a lot of these apps. They're still at its very early stages, and people are building apps just so they get those incentives. So there are incentives for people to build applications on Worldcoin through their grants program. So if we look at World Foundation grants, they support innovation, impact, and collaborations. Now they have two different tracks here, the Spark track and the Scale track. Spark track turns a validated idea into a working mini app. This is for small teams and early founders. So this is for people that are building an app and might want to be incentivized to build on Worldcoin. So this is another way that these blockchains grow, where they have incentives for people to launch applications there. Then you have the Scale track, supercharge a live mini app with real users and grow at 10x scale. So these are for products that have an existing user base, and maybe this is an existing decentralized application on Ethereum, on Solana, on Sui, and they also want to support Worldcoin. So for these working applications that have a proven track record, Worldcoin wants to onboard your application into their ecosystem too, and you get incentivized for that. So if a blockchain is actually going to make it, we want to see this. We want to see them incentivizing builders to build applications to grow out this ecosystem. Because if I'm going to this new blockchain and there's nothing for me to do there, I'm going to lose interest in it and I'm just not going to get involved. So what we're seeing with Worldcoin is that they are investing in their ecosystem, they're investing in growth, and they're doing one of the most rare things in crypto, having a physical store location to onboard new users. My thoughts on Worldcoin, the Dan opinion, because this is just my personal opinion, using their application is pretty good. Getting into these different mini apps, confirming transactions is really smooth, but moving money into that ecosystem is incredibly difficult because a lot of these centralized exchanges don't necessarily support World Chain, or if they do, they support just the World Token. They don't support Ethereum on Worldcoin, they don't support USDC, and they don't have a native stablecoin yet. So those are just minor problems that could potentially be solved in the future if user demand picks up. And if you go the full DeFi route, that is a terrible experience. A lot of these mini apps aren't available as a decentralized application where you can access it on a website. You have to access it through the World app on your phone. So you have to do a lot of bridging in DeFi. You have to move things around, and it's not quite the fastest process at the moment where, maybe you have some ETH on Ethereum, and you want to bridge that over to Worldcoin. You're going to need to have either the World token, some Ethereum, and some USDC all on the Worldcoin network, depending on when you want to move. Because to use the Worldcoin blockchain in DeFi, you need Worldcoin Ethereum to make that happen. You don't need the World token, that isn't used for gas, but if you are doing your own transactions from your own wallet, you need Ethereum for gas in the Worldcoin network. I know it gets confusing. It's not too difficult to figure out, but it is a pain to set up all these different transactions early on, just so you can set up all the access you need for these different products in the Worldcoin app. Now, interestingly enough, they have some extremely high interest rates, and that's because they have a set of rewards. This gets distributed to people that are staking and using those applications, and there just isn't enough people using it, so that's why those rewards seem very high. And by the time you use it, it could be significantly lower because maybe people saw this video, got very interested in those rewards, and then are participating in those staking pools. So that's just something to consider if you are going to get into these rewards and you see it, and it's a very different number later on. Now, I do think Worldcoin has one of the best user experiences out there in crypto. You're using everything within the World app. There is no gas. You don't have to worry about gas. You just have to confirm a transaction. Just saying, hey, I want to do this. And it says, do you actually want to do that? And yes, I do. You confirm a transaction. It happens. It takes a few seconds. It's not instant, but it does work, and it works really well. And nothing is too confusing, but at the same time, you still don't have the complex features that you have in the DeFi world. So I am very optimistic about what Worldcoin is building. Of course, at an 11 billion fully diluted valuation, where you have a lot of rewards for people who might not be using the network, who might just be extracting value from it, that is definitely a big concern. But I think you might want to be bullish on the apps that are building there, that are potentially earning fees, and if you get in early enough, there could be rewards. So that is what I'm looking at, just because they have the highest potential of user adoption, where yes, they're going to these different countries, they're setting up a physical location, they're onboarding people into their ecosystem. And even though a lot of different crypto projects have raised tons of money, they're not doing that. They are not onboarding Web 2 users, which is lacking in crypto. And if we want to have a bull run, we need regular people to get involved in crypto. And you have to look at the projects that are making that happen, that are providing the rails to bring in the Web 2 normies into the world of crypto, because it is a complicated process and it's overwhelming. So we need better experiences for regular users. And if you see a product that is building that and building that successfully, then there's a shot. So that is just my opinion. I'm not saying to buy or sell, but I am going to say that there are opportunities within their ecosystem, short-term, long-term. We never know what's going to happen to their token, but there is a lot of evidence that they are building out their ecosystem by bringing on users and developers. And from what I've seen so far, the experience is pretty good. If this video was helpful, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, say, Dan, this was the best Worldcoin review I've ever seen, or something more reasonable. And if you're looking for a community of crypto investors, or maybe you just need a little help, there is a link in the description that might just help you out. We're planning on being the best crypto community out there. Disclaimer, we're not the best, but we're working on it. And with that, I hope you got your full value for today.